Hello YouTubers, welcome back to Rich Reviews. I'm in my shed, and as stated from my last video, if you watched it, I was talking about this, which is 20 volt hyper tough drill driver that I got at Walmart. And I mentioned that I wanted to really test this thing out. Now, it's supposed to be 20 volt. So I wanted to put this thing to the test, but I also wanted it to go match up against something. I don't think it's going to perform as well, but we're going to see. So I'm actually going to put it against my 12 volt Milwaukee drill driver. Now this is the base drill driver. This is not the hammer drill. It's not a fuel. It is the very basic M12 drill driver. And this is 12 volt. So I want to see what it can do against the 20 volt or vice versa. So we're going to put this thing to the test. And what we're going to do is, let me just put these down for a minute. I'm going to start off, I'm not going to lollygag around and put in a couple of 1 or 2 inch screws, which pretty much anything can do. So I'm going to start right off, and I'm going to start off with 4-inch wood screws, star tipped. That's the only screws and bits that I prefer to use. Now I don't want to say it's impossible, but there's much less chance of these stripping, taking them out or putting them in, because there's so many more points of contact as opposed to a slotted or even a Phillips. I've switched over from Phillips to nothing but star bits, so that's what I prefer to use. But I'm going to start out with 4-inch basic wood screws. Then we're going to move up a bit, not so much in length, but definitely in beefiness, so to speak. And we're going to go to 2 7/8 inch long headlock screws. And then the real bad boy. We're going to see which, I don't even know if either one of these are going to be able to do it, but we're going to move up to, if it can even do that. But then we're going to move up to 4.5-inch headlock screws. And we're going to see what these things can do. So I'm more curious to see what the Hyper Tough can do. I'm fairly sure what I'm capable of with the M12. They might be able to do this, but I want to see how this matches up. Normally, as I was stating in my last video, putting a 20 volt against a 12 volt is no contest, or shouldn't be. But we're talking about a Milwaukee, which is the top of the line power tools, in my opinion. I've stated that, against what I call the Triple B power tool, which is the Bargain Basement brand. So we're going to see what these can do. All right. Without further ado, let's start the contest. So, again, I'm in my shed. This is an old shed. I'm not concerned about it too much. I'm going to be fixing this up. All this wood is pretty beat. But this is a 4x4 connected to a 2x6. So I'm going to drive these in. I want to see how this can drive in. See how it does. So we're going to start out with the Hyper Tough. This is a fully charged. Unfortunately, I can't show you that as far as a battery indicator, because it has none on the tool or the battery. But take my word, it's a fully charged 20 volt now battery. So we're going to start this and see what it can do. All right. Let's start with this. Get this started in. All right. All right, so what happened was it countersunk it, but it sounded like it was just about to die. So, but it did it. Can't say anything bad about it. It did it. So let's do the 12 volt. See if that can handle this. All right, same thing, same screw, 20 volt. This has a full charge. All you have to do is look at the lights on the gun. And we're going to try this out now. grab. All right. All right, this definitely died out because you could actually see that. Okay. Put this back in. Of course, this had to loosen up on me. Alright, so both were able to do it. Not surprised that this was able to, but actually this started to die down just as it got to the edge, right at the edge of the screw. It didn't even countersink it, but it really started to bog out. So both of them kind of bogged out. So now we're going to step it up and see what these bad boys can do. Well, one of these bad boys at least. Hold on. All right. Actually, let me take those out before I do anything. Now, unlike a lot of tool test videos, I'm not concerned with time. To me, I prefer quantity over time. In other words, I want to know that the tool can even do the job. I don't care how long it takes. If it takes a couple of 2 to 5 extra seconds to drive a screw in, big deal. As long as it can do it. That's my concern. So I'm not focusing on time. I don't have a clock going. I'm not worried about who does it faster. I want to see how these things actually perform. That's my main concern. All right, so we're going to step it up. I'm going to go to the 2 7/8 headlock screws. These bad boys right here. And we'll start out again with the Hyper Tough. So, see what it can do. All right. I'm going to move my mower out of the way here. Put that over there. Okay. All right. Let's see what this bad boy can do. Get it started. All right. Here we go. Alright, you heard that. It got it in, but it really started to bog down as it was getting towards the end of it, and right as it hit the surface, it just cranked out. So, but it did. You know, I gotta give it credit where credit's due. It was able to do it. Alright, let's see what the 12 volt can do. Alright. Same screw, 12 volt. Alright, let's see what we can do here. All the way. Always helps if you have it going the right direction. Come on, get started there. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Alright. So this sunk it pretty good. This actually countersunk it a little more than the other one did, but again, they both did it. So I'm kind of impressed. I didn't really expect this to really do this, but I'm kind of impressed. So we're going to take these out. So you might be wondering why I'm using 12 volt every time to take them out. And that's because at least I can see where I'm at as far as battery life on this, which I have 3 bars. I've used 1 bar so far. So that's that's the only reason why I'm using that. At least I can monitor it. Alright. So both were able to drive the 4-inch wood screws. Both were able, for the most part, to drive in the 2 7/8 headlocks. So now on to the bad boys, the big boys. So we're going to do, let me get the bit out of here. Alright. We're going to do 4.5-inch headlock screws. Alright. Those there. Let's start with the Hyper Tough. Get this started in here. Now, I am not going into any of the pre-drilled holes that I've already done. I want to really test it, so I'm starting out in more of a solid area. Restarting, I should say. Alright, so we're going to get this going. Alright, now, I'm going to be honest. If this can actually drive this all the way in, I'm not worried about countersinking or anything like that. If this can actually drive this in, I'm going to be really impressed with this thing. 20 volt or not, it's still a bargain basement brand tool. So let's see what it can do. Right, we got this started. Here we go. All right, well, here's the bottom line. It got it in, okay? It died twice. If you obviously you can see that. It died out on me, and then it started right back up though. I didn't have to keep it off for any amount of time. Started right back up. It didn't quite get it all the way to the surface. Maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch sticking out. So it couldn't quite get it to the surface. But for the most part, it did drive it in. So not too bad. Really, not too bad for this thing. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Alright, so let's see what we can do with the 12 volt. Again, I got 3 bars, 3 lights on that, so almost full charge. Alright, here we go. In with the not having it go in the right direction. Alright, we got it started, so here we go. Alright, well, the 12 volt, to its credit, was able to drive it in further than that did. It got it all the way right to the edge. Actually, just a little bit countersunk it, and didn't bog out at all. You know, it did it all in one shot. But again, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting the Hyper Tough to even be able to get this in. Honestly, I just really didn't think it was going to get it in at all. But it did for the most part. Like I said, it left it sticking out a little bit, but not too shabby for something that cost me $30. Battery, charger, and the drill, $30. Hey, you can't really knock it for that price. So impressed. There's no sense in putting it against one of my 18 volts because we already, judging by what you saw here, I think we can pretty much know what the results of that would be. But for what it was able to do, for what it is, I was very impressed. So let me take these out. Alright, again, to sum it up, I've got to give credit where credit's due. We're talking 4.5-inch headlock screws. These things aren't small. Pretty good size, long, beefy, and the whole bit. And for something, a cheap bargain brand tool like that, to be able to drive this in, pretty impressive. I question the fact that it is 20 volt. It says it. You got to take them for what they say, of course, but I don't know. I just don't know with these type of tools. I haven't had much experience with the Hyper Toughs as far as power tools go. I do have some of the hand tools, and they're pretty good. But I can't say one way or the other about the power tools. 20 volt, I don't know. Again, I got to go by what they're saying. They're saying it's 20 volt, so maybe it is. I don't know. But no matter what, 20 volt, 12 volt, whatever, I was impressed with what I saw, with what it was able to do. Yeah, it's going up against a Milwaukee 12 volt, but still in all, the quality is much different in the build and the power of the tools. So I felt it was a fairly decent, even contest. Anyway, you saw for yourself. Not a bad drill. If you're looking for something real basic for around the house, this thing is going to serve you well. From what I've seen of it so far, from what I've done with it so far, it's going to serve you well. So I would recommend going out to get this for 30 bucks. You get a battery, you get the drill, you get a real basic charger. Can't beat it. Anyway, that's Rich Reviews for today. I hope you enjoyed the contest, and tune in for more. Take care, everyone.